On this installment of Creative Cabin Fever, I have the wonderful Fee. Fee, how are you today?
Hi, I'm good. Can't complain, can't complain. Lovely Friday evening.
Yeah, it's getting a bit fresher, but we're still able. I love that we accidentally color coordinated as well.
I know it's the tiger power today. Loving it.
Yeah, I know you look gorgeous. I'm obviously a little bit more scruffy, but I was like, oh, I forgot to turn the heating on earlier, so my bedroom's a little bit cozier. So I'm just like, go with it.
Oh yeah, completely. Sure, I have my slippers on under the desk, so
Yeah, slippers are great. I have cozy woolly socks on. So one of the questions I used to always ask when I started the show back in March was kind of what your lockdown life has been like. If you have any new skills that you picked up or any kind of self-discoveries that you might have made in this weird, quirky time that we're living in.
yeah. So I suppose in the first lockdown, I very much went into that kind of solo home workout mode. Got very into doing the fitness things, and I also spent a lot of time writing music. That was kind of the first lockdown. In this one, however, because I started my master's, I've it's very much been college central. So I'm either trying to work on music, doing reading for college, or I teach a little heels class now, little body positivity heels dance class on a Tuesday night. So that's also a bit of fun. Although I think my neighbors probably think I'm mad because either there's music coming through the walls or there's me clipping around on my heels, shouting at a screen. I'm sure they think I'm absolutely bonkers, but yeah, it keeps me entertained anyway, it keeps me busy.
That's amazing. Are you doing those classes over Zoom then?
Yeah, so it's with Trinity's DU Dance Society. So basically, every Tuesday evening, anyone who wants to can pop on, and we strap our heels on, talk a bit about body positivity. It's all like a load of fun and just feeling good in our bodies and having a bop. Usually to some absolute female anthem tunes. I love to play those. So yeah, it's good crack.
That sounds amazing. That's incredible. I have a friend down in Waterford called Bonnie Boo, and she does like incredible cabaret dancing and burlesque dancing. And she does classes like that as well, all about female positivity. You should definitely check her out. And she does it all over Zoom as well. I think it's amazing. How are you finding the changeover from like real, I'm going to say real life classes to Zoom as a medium?
Um, so I prefer real life just because, well, first of all, I'm kind of blind. So it's I find it difficult to see when I'm trying to teach how people are getting on. And I don't like that I'm not able to kind of, if I see someone struggling who maybe doesn't want to say, that I can offer them a bit of advice or help them out. So it's I much prefer in person, but it is also great that I can just after my lecture sign off, get into my heels, and then straight ready to go from my sitting room. So that's also really good as well. And I think at the time it is, or like how it is right now in the world, it's even more necessary or more like enjoyable for people. Like they need that break. I know I do. I'm like, I this is my hour to just dance around in some heels and blare some music and feel good and not be thinking about the anxieties of the world or anything like that. So in that sense, it's really good, and I that is the power of Zoom. Sure, look, us doing this right now is actually quite cool. It's quite incredible. So, yeah, but I do miss the just in-person interactions and meeting new people, coming to classes and being able to chat to them afterwards. Like no one's going to hang around on a Zoom. Everyone's like, okay, bye.
Oh, yeah, no, it's definitely an adjustment. Even for me, it's an adjustment. Like I'm incredibly grateful of the tool and the power of the tool and what it allows us to do, but you do have to kind of upscale and learn how to do it differently. And I could see that in your situation as well. Yeah, of course, you want to be able to see who's struggling in a class, but you can't because you're focusing on being able to show what you're doing. So it's not the same at all. I'd never thought about that. So thank you.
But one thing actually that is good from not from my perspective as a teacher, but from other people's perspective who maybe would be too insecure to go to a class. I found there's some people who might come and not put on their cameras, and I think that's completely okay, because then they get to participate in it, but they don't have to feel self-conscious, and that would be the last thing I'd want anyway, because the whole point of the class is feeling good and feeling good in your body. So in that sense, for someone who's maybe more introverted or wouldn't have the confidence to just turn up to a class by themselves, it actually is really, really good and really helpful. So there is definitely positives to it. Got to find the silver lining.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like for me personally, like I'm loving online gigs. Like I love that I can just be in my pajamas watching whatever I want without anyone staring at me while I eat ribs in my bed or my bath.
Or your
I'm
bath, even better. Yeah.
Yeah, so like for me, like it's been a wonderful time as well because obviously I work as a promoter. So when I go to gigs, usually it's work related. So it's been really nice to be able to go, not my problem. But at the same time, I miss networking and I do miss meeting people and feeling the energy of a crowd. So it's kind of a positively missing stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, for me, definitely the energy of the crowd has been just the main thing I've missed in general from this lockdown, from this whole pandemic. Just being on stage and feeling the energy of a crowd. Oh God, it hurts my soul just to talk about it, but it's definitely been my biggest thing that I've missed, without a
Yeah.
doubt.
Well, one of the questions would probably just jump to that one then that I usually ask because I think it's so important that we remember gigs. So whether it's like so online gigs are great, but they're not the thing that ultimately we're all going to end up back in a field somewhere or in a nightclub or in an incredible theater and we're going to be watching our favorite acts, or in your case you get to perform and I get to showcase the magic of the music industry, which is what I'm here to do. Tell me about maybe your top 3 best gig memories or your top worst ones, because I mean no one really talks about the bad stuff but it matters.
Yeah, so first, yeah, so it's hard because there's been a lot of good ones, a lot more good than bad, I must say. But definitely one of, I guess the first one that sticks out to me was back in the day, back in 2013, I think it was. I played Scary's Got Talent, which I live in Scary's, and it basically was this little talent show. And I played the previous year and got into the finals with like one of my first ever songs. That was awful, very bad, not a good song. But the following year, I'd written my first, I guess, like proper song that I was like, oh, this is actually maybe good. I don't know. And I ended up winning. But I just remember performing in the final that night. It's just such a magical feeling. And I was like, I'd performed in little like school shows and different things before, but this was just me on my own, singing my own music on stage. And I was like, oh, this is magic. And then when I won, which I couldn't believe, and even when they announced my name, I completely blanked at first because I just assumed it wasn't me. So then I was shocked. Um, it just kind of this thought in my brain that was like, oh, this could actually be what I do. This could. That's when I think the real seed of like, ooh, this could be it. So that was when that was born, I suppose. Um, and then another one, I guess, that I always tend to mention is playing the House of Blues in Chicago. Because it just came at a time, I think, where the previous 2 years or so, I had vocal nodules. So there had been a time around the time that I'd been on the Voice of Ireland. After that, I didn't really play that much. I was still doing music. I was in a rock band, so I play with them. But in terms of like my own music and my own stuff, I kind of wasn't at the forefront of what I was doing. I guess because I my own confidence and had been kind of knocked, and it was a very stressful time. And so then when I went over to America for the summer, I was doing an internship with a little music agency, and we were organizing gigs and working with different venues, doing different shows. And I just started playing again. I started playing in open mic nights and the like. And then I was asked if I would play at this thing called I Am Fest, which took place in the House of Blues. And I was like, yes, yes, please sign me up right now. I mean, I was born in Chicago, so my mom always says that like when I was like 6 months old, they brought me to the like brunch that they do, the live music brunch that they do in the House of Blues. So it just, if my dad was saying as well, it was like a full circle moment. But anyway, I went to perform, and it was when I was on that stage, that iconic venue, that I was like, yeah, I don't care anymore. I don't care. I was actually saying this recently on another podcast, but I was just had this moment of, who cares if I think I'm not good enough? I love this. I want to do it. So that's not, it's just not an option to stop or to do anything else. Like, this is what I want to do. So, oh, it's just amazing. So they definitely will kind of stand out as two definitely defining gig moments. But there's been so many that even I played a little Zodiac Sessions gig in Bruxelles Bar last year. And I played a song I just written it. It was a really emotional song for me called Friends Who Love. And I just remember looking up halfway through the song. I was completely lost in it. And it was such an intimate setting. Everyone was just there with me. And I looked up and I could see two people in the crowd crying. I thought I was going to start crying. And it was just this beautiful energy exchange that like you can't manufacture. That is just so, I actually feel emotional talking about it because it's just so pure, and it's so like moments like that in gigs are just make everything worth it. I just think it's like, it makes, I always am like, this is what life is about for me. This is what I want to be doing. So um yeah, that would definitely, those would definitely be the ones in terms of positive gig experiences. In terms of negative, I don't know. There's always a few funny ones. Um, I remember playing a gig actually when I was over in Chicago, and it wasn't in. I kind of should have done a bit of recon. I was just asked to play a gig in this bar, but I hadn't really sussed out where the bar was or what the story was going to be, and so it wasn't. It was a bit dodgy. I was there by myself, and there was a lot of. It was very big male energy going on in the bar, and then me, little Irish me, they're like, oh, I'm going to play a few songs. And so I had like, there was a few drunken men heckling, saying very vulgar things. I was there kind of going, oh God, can someone come rescue me? And there is that side of it. There's been many a gig I played where there's an old drunk man in the corner who decides to come up and get in your space or get in your space. And that's not really pleasant or what you want. So that particular situation wasn't great at all. I remember having to get the barman to escort me out to an Uber because it was just so, it was one of the men had been kicked out, but he was like waiting outside. So it was like, oh. So definitely do recon before you go to a gig, and definitely if you're unsure about the area or unsure about the place, especially if you're in a different country, make sure that you have someone with you. Because I'd taken the subway and walked to get there, but I was like, no way, I'm getting an Uber back. This is not ideal, especially because if it's late at night. So yes,
Absolutely.
these tips.
They're great tips. Thank you. So the first thing I want to say is I actually got goosebumps when you told me that story about Friends Who Love. That's amazing. And I miss that. Like, I miss crying at gigs or getting goosebumps and just being so blown away by an act. I cannot wait. But yeah, so I guess that last answer ties us into one of the questions. It's like, how do you feel about being a woman in the industry? And even more than that, just a woman in general, especially considering all the controversy going on at the moment with the leaked photos and stuff, and how vulnerable we are as women. I like to kind of dance around with that question without being, I just think the more we talk about these topics, the more we think about them, and that's what we need to do.
100%, 100%. And I think in looking at women in society, music and the music industry is a really good place and really interesting like microcosm of that, and a good place to look. I think we are making progress. I like to start with the positives. I think and along with every female musician I know, has a good load of stories of just times where they've been like, oh God, isn't it crap to be a woman in the music industry? And I found it less and less as time has gone on. And I do think sometimes, um, I guess I've also grown in confidence of being calling stuff out. There definitely was a time I do remember, around the time when I was decided to do my first EP. I remember I was recording it, and we were talking about drums, and keeping in mind that it wasn't like a band's EP, this was just my EP, my songs. But I had various friends and musicians helping me out with different instruments. And for the drums of the track, which is ironic that I bring up drums considering the recent situation. But anyway, for the drums of the track, I had a lovely friend of mine who was on drums, and the person who was doing the mixing for me, he kept asking my really good friend and amazing musician, guitarist, what the drum should be like and where we should go with it. And I was kind of sitting there going, this is my song, like what's going on here? And that's happened a few times, even in terms of like particularly like I've found if you're doing sound checks for gigs and stuff, you'll be talked over and talked to your male counterparts about how your vocal mic sounds. It's very, very strange sometimes. And you do kind of have to be like, excuse me, what's happening here? But yeah, hi, like this, especially I think one time when I particularly was like, why are you asking him who's over there what my mic is sounding like for my gig? I think it was for the release of my EP as well. I'm like, I'm so confused as to why you're talking over me when it's my name that's on the poster and it's my vocals. Even if it wasn't my name on the poster, it's my vocals. Why are you asking that guy? So there is some of that, and I've only ever experienced that obviously from men. I've never had a female sound engineer, female person talk over me or talk over to someone else when it just, I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me at all. So I definitely do see it. And I think we see it as well, you see in the like gender disparity reports that have come out in radio. Like I found quite a good positive response, especially from local radio stations who do really want to play Irish independent music, which is amazing. And I think since Linda Cohen, is it? Who, the lady anyway, who released the disparity report, that showcased just how much men were being played versus women on Irish radio. There has been improvements, and I've seen more, which is good, and that's exactly why we need to have these conversations, because then when these things come up, we can actually progress and move forward. And it isn't about being like, oh, all men are bad and they aren't doing this. Like, not at all. This is why we're having these conversations. And I think that's why it's really important to keep talking about it and talking about different experiences. Because I've also worked with some amazing men, obviously, in the music industry, and some of people I would trust most in the music industry are men who I've worked with too. Like Ryan, who I mentioned, who's plays guitar for me, and like Jeff, who does production for me. Amazing and so respectful. But it's just, we have to keep having these conversations, because there is still a lot of that happens, that goes on, which needs to stop, because we just need to be past that at this stage, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. So like that happens to me the whole time at a gig. The sound engineer will go over my head and I'll be like, well, I might not be able to tell you the absolute specs of your kit, but I can tell you that the bass is not where it needs to be. I can also tell you that the monitors on the stage are not where they need to be in order to correspond with what the band needs to be gauging out. So you just need to listen to me because I'm running the gig and I'm paying you.
And I think that's where sometimes it's tough, especially if you're a younger female artist, maybe newer to the gigging scene. Like I know I found this where there's this kind of self-consciousness that maybe you don't know the names of everything, or you don't know exactly what it is, but you still, as a musician, know what sounds right and know what feels right. And so, but there's this reluctance to, maybe if a sound engineer is kind of mansplaining something to you, to be like, no, that's not what I want, or that's not right for me, because you maybe don't have the vocabulary to be like, because of this particular wire or this thing. But that's actually wrong. And I think that is a piece, if I were to go back and tell myself, I'd be like, just say what you feel, because you're all 99.9% of the time you're right. If you feel in your gut like, oh, my vocal sounds weird there, or like, why is this happening, you're right to be like, no, this isn't what I want, or this isn't how I want this to sound. And don't let someone who might know all of these fancy pedal names distract you from the fact that like the end of the day, you know what you want to sound like, and you know what you want is right.
Absolutely. And a lot of male lead singers don't know the fancy terminology, and yet they're never questioned. So it's not nothing to do with your knowledge. It has to do with how you feel it in your gut. And if you think this isn't the sound that you want for you, then you should be able to go, well, actually, sorry, buddy. But
yeah, exactly. And it is interesting that I've seen, particularly, I guess, from singers, songwriters, and independent musicians, of like male and females, and it's never from the musicians themselves, or not that I've really seen. Like, I think that the little circuit of independent artists that I've come across gigging around Dublin, back when gigging was a thing, have all been so supportive, and are all, for like, really genuine and lovely people. We all share each other's stuff, and we're all very supportive, and which I love. But I have found this conception, like, outside of that bubble of, like, where, in a way, male musicians are treated like musicians, whereas a female singer-songwriter is like a singer. And there's this weird dichotomy where they'd be the exact same, or they're both like maybe in the pop genre, or they're both maybe in the singer-songwriter genre, but a male, for whatever reason, seems to be viewed as this like whole entity, where, like, if a woman is a pop singer, she's just a pop singer. Like, she's not a fully well-rounded musician. She's just that front. And it's really pervasive in society. Like, it really is ingrained in there. And I think we got to start taking that away, because it kind of implies that, like, a male artist is authentic naturally, whereas a female artist isn't, unless she's doing a specific genre, or doing a specific, or doing everything. If a female artist is doing every single part, like production and mastering and all of it, then maybe she can be viewed as authentic. But a male artist naturally is. It's very confusing to me. I don't really understand, but there seems to be this weird differing of opinion. I don't know.
But like, so I had this conversation with Michael Smith from Paper Tigers, an incredible Belfast band, last week, and he actually said female front is not a genre. Okay, so female fronted band is not a genre. The fact that we choose to have Hayley, who's an incredible lead, like, does not mean that changes that we are just a band. And I was like, hearing that from a man is powerful stuff. So I know there's a wave of change, and I know that there's so much good out there, but you're right, never questioned. Like, some even like multi-instrumentalists that I admire that are females, there still seems to be a, did she really do that herself? Yes, she did. Did Vern and Jane actually do that themselves? Yes, they did. Neve and Emily put that together themselves, like, with the band around them. Do you know what I mean? But they are actually strong women who know how to put music together and do all the stuff that I don't need to know. Or, like, even for me, from my point of view as a promoter, I often get people at gigs going, so who told you about these guys? They're amazing.
So it's like, you realize I'm the promoter.
Yeah.
Like, oh gosh. Yeah. Some of the stuff boggles your mind, but it just shows how ingrained it is. And that's why we have to keep trying to root it out.
Yeah, because I pride myself, like, every Friday I spend at least 3 hours going through all the new Irish music to make a playlist. And then I'll make a playlist for each and every single month. I'm not doing it for people to be following my playlist. I'm doing it so that there are playlists that you can go back in time and go, well, that was what 2020 November sounded like in Ireland. Okay, that's kind of my idea. So it's I just do things funny. But, like, I'll spend, like, my whole morning, like, trying to find the songs myself. Do you know? So,
you're a woman. How do you do that?
Oh yeah, I also raised a child.
Oh gosh.
How could I possibly know what sounds good either?
No, I don't know how to do it. Don't know. You must be the only one.
Yeah, no, it is funny. I'm still questioning it the whole time. Now, you're obviously no stranger to releasing during lockdown, Fee. So how would you feel about that? Because obviously you managed to garnish an incredible amount of stream rates. And I know that's not actually what fundamentally matters. I mean, it's great and all, but the fact that your songs are actually incredible. I actually wrote a review for Distraction, and I really genuinely think it's a piece of summer in the winter that we all needed. So well done on that one. And I hadn't known Pathetic until that point, so I'd never actually heard of you till then.
Yes. Here I am. Yeah, so it was quite crazy because I had a plan to release a song in June, and that was just my plan, or end of May, beginning of June. And then as lockdown happened, I started to realize that this plan was going to be a tough one to pull off, especially because I really like, I guess starting with Pathetic, I've started doing a lot of, especially if I'm doing more of an upbeat beats orientated track. I really enjoy working with Jeff Music, and he just, it's really nice as well to have someone to bounce ideas off of, and he's just very good for that, and he also has way better equipment than I do, so I would usually record things in his house, but then obviously lockdown happened, so that wasn't a vibe. But I was sitting here at home doing whatever, and I'd written the chorus for Distraction a few months previous. I'd had it just on the back burner, and I was just in my PJs bopping around the house, and I was like, oh, I forgot about this song. I think I was listening to my voice notes, and I was like, I completely forgot about this song. And I was like, Janie Mac, I'd love a distraction right now from this particular environment and from everything. So then I just started, it just all came, flew out of me, lyrics, everything, this whole idea for how I wanted it to be. And I messaged Jeff being like, right, remember that song I sent you a random voice note about back a few months ago? I really want to do this. He was like, how are you going to do that? So I decided I was just going to record the vocals, everything myself here. I set myself up. I had done music production in college for a little bit. So even though I always say I'm technologically impaired because I get anxious around technology, but I can do it. It's very much a in my head thing. You know, I'm very much a person, if I think, what was I going to say? I got all lost there on that train of thought.
No, it's because you just have it in your head that you're not good with technology, but actually you're well able. I'm the same.
Yeah, and when you have something like that in your head, then you won't avoid it because you feel like if you're going to do it, it'll like prove that you aren't bad at it. But that has never happened. It's fine. It's all in my brain. So anyway, I was like, get over yourself, Fee, we're doing this. So I recorded it or whatever and sent things over to Jeff, and there was a lot of back and forth. I think it's the longest in terms of like back and forth on a song because I I get very particular. Poor Jeff, God bless his soul. Like he'll send me something and be like, oh, but I don't like this like tiny little thing there. So then obviously because we couldn't meet up in person, there was a lot of that over a period of time. But I really wanted to release it and I was so excited. And so then we did it, yeah. And I really wanted to as well. I'd kind of learned from Pathetic that it's really good to have your song done and completely sent away to DistroKid or wherever your server is, and then to have a few weeks of just promoting it and from doing creative things to promote it. So for Pathetic, I did like little videos. Then for Distraction, I had done a photo shoot with a few different things in different locations and tried to kind of make my social media look aesthetically pleasing and get people engaged with different things and excited. Hopefully, I was excited anyway. And yeah, and then just out into the world, it was very weird. It was very sad because I'd really hoped to obviously have a single launch and to play a gig. And originally it looked like I was maybe going to be able to do that. But obviously that did not come to be because more restrictions got put into place. But yeah, it was very surreal experience because even the day that it was released, obviously I could see on social media people engaging with it, but couldn't really like meet up and like have like even a few people over to celebrate it. So that was a bit strange. It didn't feel like it had happened. And I think because I've been working on it for so long, it was like, oh, what now? But there was loads to do because then I was me messaging people being like, hello, please play my song, please write about my song, which then I got a good bit of media coverage, which was amazing. which is really cool actually. And then yeah, since then it's just been trying to like, actually, to be fair, there's been a bit of up and down because just with time and trying to do so many things, um, trying to juggle so many balls in the air, haven't been doing so much with it recently, but it's still getting added to playlists and the likes and still getting shares, and that's what we love to see. So hopefully it's still getting out there. I need to kind of get back on the old admin buzz of emailing places and the likes, but sometimes you need a break as well. Which I say fully never intending on taking a break, but being like, it's important to take a break from things as well and to move on to different projects too. So
Yeah, no, I think you did a phenomenal job. Like, I mean, it's really, really powerful to me to see someone actually with that story still be able to do it. And I'm genuinely heartbroken that you couldn't have the launch party you wanted. I guess we're all in the same way. But talking about your energy levels, like obviously Red Bull have been in touch with sponsorship, right, Fee? So this is what's actually giving you the wings and the ability to just keep going with your masters that's launching and all the admin work that comes along with being a solo creator of music and launcher.
I mean, I'm genuinely shocked that they haven't reached out to me as of yet. I do every now and again send them a tweet on Twitter or a message on Instagram, just every now and again, just in case. Um, but yeah, it's so funny because people don't believe me, but I never was an energy drinker. Like I never really had energy drinks up until first lockdown, basically. Because just before we went into lockdown, I was in a dance show. I was part of the hip hop team for Trinity, and so half an hour before we went on stage, our choreographer was like, "Okay, everyone have a Red Bull, then we'll be buzzing when we're on stage and have all the energy." And I had that Red Bull, and then was like, "Oh, this is cool. This is great." And then that night when we all went out, I was having Red Bull and vodka. I was like, "This is fantastic. So much energy." And then we went into lockdown pretty much the next week. And I was like, "Oh, you know what? I'd love some of that Red Bull. So much to be doing. It'll give me so much energy." And from there, it just became this thing that I had Red Bull, and everyone on Instagram seemed to find it hilarious. So then I would always post about it, and it just became this running thing. Um, which was quite funny as well. When I started, I did a little like personal trainer program, and the girl who was doing it with me was like, "You need to stop drinking so much Red Bull. This can't be good for you." And I was like, it's what gets me up in the morning. Bowl of Shardies and Red Bull, sort of for the day, raring to go. Favorite highlight of the day. Uh, but yeah, no, I've cut down now because it got a bit out of hand there for a little while. So
No, I'm a sugar monster. Like I live on pastries, weird cereal. Like I have a Hershey's Kisses cereal box in my press right now. Right,
wow.
right. And coffee.
See, I think that was part of what made me so addicted to Red Bull as well, is that I don't drink tea or coffee. And so I didn't really have that much caffeine at all at any point in my diet. And so then, in fairness, it is the sugar-free Red Bull. I will say that. I just think it tastes better, though. To be honest, it's something to do with the sugar. But yeah, no, I think my body then was like, "This is caffeine. This is fantastic." And here we are.
That's amazing. That I love that story. Like I really do truly love that story. And I'm all about anyone who has a bit of a, you know, a buzz, a buzz about them in this time. Because anything that's gonna make your day better, I don't care if it's Red Bull, you know what I mean? Whatever it is that just makes you a bit more smiley and have your pep, go for it. Like
For me, it's Red Bull and cats. Like I'm the cat whisperer because I don't have a cat, but I want a cat more than anything. And so anytime I go for a walk or for a run, I'm like, "There's a cat, gotta take a video." I'd say the majority of my camera roll is videos of random cats that I find and pet. That sounds so weird, but I just love
no.
it so much. And they make me so happy. And like my friends genuinely are like, "We think this is becoming an issue. Like we think you're gonna steal someone's cat." And I'm not saying I won't. Pretty close to doing that, especially because there's this one cat who sometimes just decides to come over and he'll just like walk into my house, and I mean I accept him with open arms. He's a bit psychotic though. He attacks me on the regular, but ugh, I love him. So cute.
Yeah, I have two cats. So One of my cats is called Braggy after the Viking god of music and poetry. So
Oh,
he came to me in January, age 4. I think he's 5 now, because I just wanted a black cat for years and I was looking everywhere. I was playing a game of cat Tinder. That's what I call it. All the rescues were sending me these cats, and none of the cats were the cat I wanted. And one friend of mine messaged me, was like, there's a black cat looking for a home. And that was Braggy. His name back then was Pixie. So I got him in January. I was very happy. I just came back from Slipknot and then there he was. That was the perfect January.
oh
And
my
then my son, he's been talking about this kitten he sees in his dreams since July called Popcorn Money. So then the search for Popcorn Money started, but he was very specific in what Popcorn Money should look like. I guess he was playing his own game of Tinder.
God.
And then we got a kitten called Popcorn Money.
Can I move in? Like, can I come over? I wanna hang out with these cats so bad. They sound amazing.
Yay. So Popcorn Money is brilliant. He's loads of crack. I actually bring him for walks on the lead. So he goes around the town with me.
Oh, stop. If I bumped into you on the street, like there's no way a social distance would be maintained. Like I would see the cat and be like, that would be it. Um, oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, so he's like, I don't know, 17 weeks old now or something. And like he's still a baby, but he's getting so big. Like every time I look at him, I'm like, oh my God, you're so big. And he's like a little tiger. And then Braggy just doesn't want anything to do with him. I have a dog called Hallie. That means hug in Finnish. Look. And Hallie plays with Popcorn all of the time. They just have these massive cat dog fights around the house where they're actually messing together. And she has this really fluffy tail that he thinks is a toy.
Oh, that's so cute. I'm moving in. It's official. I'm on my way.
Please do, but also maybe get your own cat.
Mm. One day for sure. I will, when I'm settled somewhere, I will have so many cats.
I think your cats kind of find you anyway. So it's like that random cat that keeps coming over to you. You don't really pick a cat picks you. They're magic.
They really are. And they sense, I mean, I just think they're hilarious. And they sense things so well. And they're so sassy. I love it so much. It was actually, see, myself, my mum used to have a cat, and but he died a few years ago, and it was actually just recently the like anniversary when he died. So I was having a bit of a sad day, and I hadn't seen this cat who randomly arrives sometimes in, I'd say, a month or two, and he just rocks up, and I was like, you knew, bud, come hang out with me. Then he attacked my head, so that was less appreciated, but I mean, he could kill me and I would have forgave him within a few seconds because
people often say to me, like, this is going to sound weird, but people often say to me, when you die, your cats will eat you. And I was like, good. That's kind of the circle of life. Like,
yeah,
rather my cats got me than ants. Like,
I'm right there with you. I hate them, so I'm right there with you.
So before I let you go and we go into other crazy, weird cat stories, but it's
I'm
okay.
Like, let's talk about cats the whole time. I have a million cats.
Maybe we start a show where we just talk about cats.
It'll just be us that listens, but hey, we'll have fun. So I'm on board if you are.
I should have actually got one of the cats to come in, but they like to jump on things and stuff. So
it's probably for the best. I'd start crying and then you get nothing else out of me because I'd just be so happy.
After I stop recording, I will go get Popcorn Money to meet. Yes. Okay? Promise.
Okay.
The last question before I let you go, unless you've got anything to add, is could you recommend some bands I should be listening to at the moment?
Yes. So, I mean, so many. So many independent artists. One band in particular, if you are into metal, is Scathed. I love them. They're amazing. Ryan is actually, I've played guitar with him for years. We used to be in a rock band together. And Ainsley, their lead vocalist, is just a gem and her voice is unreal. Just incredible. So definitely check them out. Then in terms of independent musicians and artists, because obviously I'd know a lot more singer-songwriters than bands per se. Oh God, I just thought there's just so many, but Amy Nascence is very good. She's fantastic. EMR, a very good friend of mine who's incredible as well. And who else off the top of my head? There's just so many. I like who else will I leave us on? Oh my gosh. Sorry, there's just too many like names. You know,
So Skate are sending me a hat, one of the pink ones, because they went out, like they sold those out in like 12 hours or something. So
I
I got a
know.
hat on the way, and I already got one of their t-shirts during lockdown because I buy 3 band merch items a week to support the Irish music industry.
That's amazing. Actually, that's a big thing for me for 2021 is fee merch is incoming. So be ready because it's coming. But I decided I have so much on at the moment that I was like, that's going to be a January 2021 reveal rather than a December reveal because it's just too much. It's the same where I actually had planned around this time. Actually, probably today was the date I'd originally planned for it. Yeah, it was actually to have a new song that I was going to drop out of nowhere and just. But when we went into lockdown again, it just wasn't feasible, and I didn't want to rush it. So again, 2021, there's lots incoming, lots of big plans, but yeah, no, merch is a great idea. It's definitely something that especially I love band merch. It's so cool. And it's such a great way to support artists as well, like you were saying. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, no, I actually used merch that I had bought during the first lockdown to change my t-shirt every single time I was on stage for Transmission Music Festival. So every time I was on stage, I was actually showcasing another Irish act that I couldn't get on the stage at that time. So I was really getting that done, and it's just really interesting, you know?
Awesome. That's so cool. Fair
Yeah,
play. That's so cool. I love that.
perfect. Is there anything you'd like to add to the interview before I let you go?
I guess just thank you so much for having me
You're
and for
welcome.
being so lovely. And it's been so nice chatting away. And thank you so much. And well done
Thank you.
yourself on all the amazing interviews and everything you're doing. You are killing it, and we love to see it.
Thank you so much. I'll stop recording. I'll go get the kitten. There's also a group of youths in my window staring at me right now.
Oh, hello.